How's it going, Armstrong County? We are back for the most exciting podcast that we've ever had on the Greatest City in the World podcast. I have with me today all four commissioner candidates for the upcoming election, Armstrong County in 2019. So running a little bit different format today. I'm not sure that this has ever been done. This is going to be specifically an online social media debate. So we have a roundtable discussion with all four of these guys. We're going to alternate who goes first on 6 different topics. We'll have opening and closing remarks. And just so you guys know, too, if you want to interact with the content afterwards, you want to go back and find a specific part, I'll list all of the topics that we talked about in the description with timestamps. So if you want to go back and see what did they say about taxes, you can go back and check that out. And so that's really it for the introductory part here, but I want to go through and give each of you guys an opportunity just to introduce yourselves. We went through at the beginning. Jason, you drew your own name out of the hat first, and so you actually every single person drew their own name. So
we're gonna check that at the end here,
So I want to just hear from each one of you. Tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for county commissioner this year.
Well, thank you. First of all, Andy, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate the efforts you put in the community and everybody that watches your podcast here. But a little bit about myself. My name is Jason Renshaw. I'm a lifelong resident of Armstrong County. My family is too, since 1834. I've had a dairy farm here. I've been working that even growing up. Grew up milking cows. And it's one of my proudest moments of my life, most rewarding jobs I ever had. Still farm. To this day, a little bit different. Graduated from Slippery Rock University of the safety and environmental management and a minor in human resource. Played some football there, came back to the county here and started working at the farm and got more involved in the as the older you get, the more you see things and you want to get involved. So I got involved in the community here as far as the Tourist Bureau, Farm Bureau, Board of Directors, local government things, helping out in the communities from the festivals in Freeport and everything. Got to meet a lot of people, and I saw a need for an upcoming election 4 years ago, and I thought, hey, this would be a great thing. I can help give back to the community in the county that I love and want to be here, and ran for office, and I'm excited. The past 4 years have been great, working with Commissioner Fabian, Commissioner Scamai. I mean, I can't tell you what a great group that is to put forth and do great work for the county. It's a rewarding job as itself. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about it. Every day we go in there and try to do the best we can for the county. They're tough decisions. Yeah, there's some days. You have your days, but in the end of the day, you go home knowing, hey, listen, I've done the best for the county. And that's what I want to continue to do. Yeah. And I'm excited, dedicated here. Can't say enough about where we've been. Great group of people we work with here at the county. They are amazing. I mean, you think they're great, and then you get in there, you understand how great they really are. From the state and federal building relationships that we've already put together and some projects that we'll go on. I'm sure we'll be talking about these things here. I want to have your show done in 5 seconds, and cover it all. But just happy to be part of the, have an opportunity here to serve 4 more years, and God willing, here I think we'll see how it goes here. I'm just excited to be a part of this.
Thank you. Great to have you too, as well. Pat, you're next, buddy.
Thank you, Andrew, for having us. My name is Pat Fabian, chairman of the Armstrong County Board of Commissioners, seeking a second term here, and I couldn't agree more with Jason. It's been a great 3.5 years. 3 years ago in 2015, I made 3 campaign promises, and with the help of the current leadership and Commissioner Renshaw and Commissioner Scamai, we were able to fill those promises. That was to fund the Sheriff's Department. And when Sheriff Rupert needed some equipment that the general fund would not support, wrote a $30,000 grant so he could get that equipment. Also, Armstrong County seen the first ever central booking system, another grant that was I had written, and again increased officer safety and increased our fingerprint rate. Also, one of those promises, number 2, was to fund ARMNet, our drug task force, in the DA's office. And over the last couple of years, we've seen the DA's office get a enhanced evidence locker room and new office space. And thirdly, and then most importantly, keep the taxpayers, the burden off the taxpayers. It's all about the people's money and getting things done in a responsible way. And we haven't raised taxes in the past 3.5 years, and I don't foresee that. The way the budget's shaping up now, I don't see that happening again next year. I think elections about leadership and experience. I'm actively involved throughout the county in multiple boards, one being the Drug and Alcohol Commission, Behavioral Health, which is mental health, and also the Tri-County Workforce Development Board, working on our ongoing drug issues in the community, working on our mental health issues in the community, and working on our workforce issues in the community. Beyond that, regionally and throughout the Commonwealth, I'm very active as well. I sit on a lot of boards with the Counties Commissioners Association. This last week, I was appointed to the vice chair of the Military and Veterans Affairs Association. Quick fact, former Commissioner Jim Scahill started that committee at CCAP. So the inception started here in Armstrong County. This past year, I served as the vice president of the Northwest County Commissioners Association, and if elected again, I'll be the president next year. And also, I sit on the Southwest, as well as Commissioner Renshaw, the Transportation Commission. We go down there to Pittsburgh, and it's a 10-county region transportation committee, and we advocate for bringing back those dollars. So I guess I'd just say, like, under this current leadership, why on earth do we need a change? Progress is being made. We're seeing growth at this time, and hopefully I'm elected to keep that momentum going.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anthony.
Hello, I'm Anthony Shea, running for commissioner for the first time, actually second time. Tried to get 4 years ago, didn't quite get there. This time I am. What inspired me to get in there? I've had a lot of folks come to me, not quite as rosy a picture as I've heard from other places, but to run and help reinvigorate this county. A little bit about myself. Originally from the area, Leechburg graduate in '85, went into the Air Force. I moved away for about 20 years doing military service, combat veteran. While I was in the military, I worked as an MP for 9 years, a patrolman, corrections guard, 911 dispatcher, DMV. Got my degree in computer science while I was there. Also business. Got commissioned as an officer there. I worked in climatology, Air Force Space Command, oversaw the infrastructure for Europe and Africa for both the internet and phone systems. After that, I taught at VMI. And the last job I had before I retired from the military was running the 4-state area recruiting support. After I retired from the Air Force, I went into the civilian world. I worked at BNY Mellon as a business liaison. There, I worked connecting Fortune 500 companies, believe it or not, up at North Point with BNY Mellon, where we worked on basically moving money and files back and forth. Also, after I did that for about 8 years, I went into healthcare. There, I've done reused some of my military experience with visualizations, and now I do cancer research and wound care imagery. In that job, we're working on identifying biomarkers for immunotherapy treatment. In my evening job, and I call it a job because it takes a lot of time to do it, I work on the Leechburg School Board, which I was elected to back in 2011. I've worked through the years keeping the budgets in line. The last 2 years I've served as its vice president. We just resolved the teacher union contract where we were able to take care of the teachers with a 2.99% raise and keep taxes at 0%. Also, I work on the Lenape JOC board. There, we've been really busy expanding out the trades for the county. It's the jewel of this county. Some of the things that we've done, recent successes, are bringing in BC3 to the county. Also, just recently, we were able to get the GI Bill used for the adult education program. And just recently, last week, we actually had 34 nurses sign up for the LPN program out of Mercer County, which is a satellite office to the Lenape program. In my private life, besides being a father of 4 children, which is actually pretty time-consuming but fun, I also serve on the Leechburg, on the Gilpin Rifle Club, where I'm the treasurer. So we do a lot of work with training women and such for firing, also supporting the Armstrong County or Armstrong School District's shooting team. I also, a big passion of mine is drug awareness. Since 2007, I was still actually active duty when I started doing this. I go into the various schools down in the Leechburg, Cardinal Maida area and talk to the kids from 3rd through 5th grade, and also work with the 5th through 7th graders on drug awareness and tell them about the perils. I do poster contests, have guest speakers. I've been very lucky over the years to have different speakers such as Gary DeComo, Bill Rupert, Brian Myers. I had Scott Andressi a while ago, and we have another program scheduled for this year. If elected, I plan to take this county to the next level. we really need to move forward. We just can't do what we're doing and let stuff come to us. We need to be proactive, set the flag out there and work out to that flag, wherever that is. We need to have a plan that gets us there. We just can't wait for stuff to happen to us. And I give my word, if I get there, I'll be your full-time commissioner and do everything I can to get us to that place. Thank you.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Don Myers.
Hello, everyone. I'm Don Myers, and this is my first run for commissioner. And listen to these fellows here. It's very interesting. We've got a lot of experience sitting here at this table, and I think however things play out, it's going to be very good for Armstrong County. But to tell you a little bit about myself, if you don't already know, I'm born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life. I grew up in the little town of Cadogan, if you know where that's at, and I currently live in South Buffalo Township. I'm a retired career and tech ed teacher. That's my background, education. Current owner of East Coast Glocks Firearms in Fort Cliff, and I've worked in business also throughout my career. And those are the things I want to see and bring to the county. Why did I want to do this? People always ask you, what made you want to get involved here and run for commissioner? When I look at our county, you live here, and everybody is like, as you go out and talk to people, everybody knows what we need. Everybody has the same hopes and dreams for our county. They want to see growth. They want to see opportunity. In my experience in business, education, and I believe I can bring some good things to the table. And it's timing. As I said in an interview Monday with the Leader Times, a lot of times things in life are about timing, and right now is a good time for me to step up and serve the people, and I look forward to an opportunity to working hard for you every day to bring my skills as a builder, an educator, and a business person and move us forward. Our growth has been somewhat stymied, and everybody's competing for the same things. When you look at different counties, everybody's competing for people. There's a shrinking population, and we need to go after them and bring them here. That's been my message the whole time, is about growth. If we can grow and attract people here and market our county like it's never been done before, you're going to see the growth and the opportunities come that everybody's hoping for. And that's truly the key. When you get around the county, we got great things happening. There's things right on the cusp of opening up, but we want to get that moving. And the taxpayers, I look at the taxpayers, you're my customers, and I work hard to make my customers happy, and I'm going to work hard for you. So, I want to bring the business, the education, experience to the table and try and move this county forward with all the things that I've done. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. And just so you guys know how the election actually works, these guys were the 4 remaining after the primaries that happened earlier this year. 3 of the 4 guys at this table will be elected county commissioners in Armstrong County. And so as you're going through the debate, you're basically only saying we just got to eliminate one. And so as you're listening to these guys answer, just keep that in mind as we go through these different topics.
I think it's important to know to the voters as well, because this just came up last week.
Yeah.
You get to vote for 2, not 3.
Okay.
Some people get confused about that.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you for the clarification. Appreciate that. So the first topic, and I took all these topics from different online polling that I did, and I actually reached out to each one of these candidates, asked them for their top issues as well. This is the one that comes up, not necessarily from you guys, but from every single voter that I talked to. Seems like the number one thing always is taxes. And so I just want to start, we'll get that out of the way first. I know some of you that will have data of what percentages for our property taxes, our county, city, and school. And the county, I think, is the smallest piece of that pie, or second smallest piece of that pie. But the fact remains that we have a problem competing with the likes of Butler, Indiana, and Westmoreland counties when it comes to building houses and attracting business. People continue to mention property tax elimination, unfairness with clean and green tax incentives, and how can we bring our taxes in line with those other counties and begin to win in this area? And Pat, you'll actually be you'll be first on this one. You have 2 minutes.
I think we have been winning. I mean, at the end of the day, we have not raised taxes in Armstrong County under our tenure. The previous Board of Commissioners raised taxes 2 times in their 4-year period. So on that front, we've been holding the line. We've been fiscally responsible. We've done that through a myriad of ways. We looked at the health center with a gamut of people, a committee, and we realized that business was a failing business, a business that we could not compete in marketplace-wise. So the decision, unfortunately, was made to sell the health center, but this administration had a goal to keep in the union workforce, put the building back on the tax rolls, and keep the census the same, and we achieved those goals. Also, we looked at the county inventory. We sold off a lot of assets that were costing the county money, and we work as quickly as we could to control what we had control of to reduce cost. And I give a lot of our department heads throughout county government for working with us through the first 3.5 years, because we've been able to hold the line. The other piece of that is, growth and development. As we take down school buildings in the area, working with the school district, new opportunities are arise. And unfortunately, because of confidentiality agreements, Commissioner Renshaw are not allowed, but I can tell you opportunities are coming on both sites that were recently tore down. And then, North Point, we have a big project coming down there, the Critical Infrastructure Workforce Academy we're excited about, and that starts next month, and you'll see a lot of growth and development in that corridor here. And we'll talk more about it later.
Yeah, I have both of those definitely on my list for later on too. So, Anthony?
Okay, first of all, taxes, property taxes don't actually get levied. They get levied at the local, county and school level. As you know, most folks get the spring tax, which is kind of smaller, and the larger tax in the fall. And as far as the county, I'm sure they're doing everything they can, just like we are at the school. Most of your budget's pretty much locked in with healthcare costs, payroll. There's very little left that you actually have control over, at least for the school property taxes, which are the bigger ones. That's at a state level where they're levied down. And one of the problems we have is a lot of that is shifted from the state down to the schools. So we've actually picked up more burden and have had to try to do more with less, which has been really difficult. Again, also, we have the retirement system, PESERS, which is actually going up at the same time as this is being shifted, and essentially this has all been pushed onto the landowners. And there's only one way out of this, and that's growth, and that's getting or basically changing the legislation at the state level, is more growth within your area, municipality, within the county. And those are the things we got to work towards if we want to actually keep the taxes in line and not have them grow. And again, I know probably at this county level, at the municipal level, there's very little you have that much control over. I mean, you can sell off assets, but there's only so many assets you can sell off. At the end, you got to get growth to offset that. We also got to get, and some of that growth is opportunities that sort of came along here recently over in Indiana. They have a big distribution center that came in there, and the folks in Indiana County actually worked very aggressively with cause and different items to get that in there. We need to do those kind of same things here, so we get that growth here. When we get that growth, we get that income, which in turn keeps the taxes at bay, possibly lowers them. Thanks.
Okay. Don?
When you talk to everybody, taxes is definitely on people's mind. I mean, excuse me. When you get that bill, that big bill, and you're on a fixed income, I mean, it takes the wind out of your sails. It is a burden, and that just starts with good decision making and management of the people's money. And I got to commend you fellows, Commissioner Fabian and Renshaw, for not raising taxes and finding ways to keep things going. And I know that can be difficult at times, but that's the thing that we need to do to encourage people here. You have to keep the taxes in line. And it's done just as Anthony said here, Anthony Shea, about the growth. That's been my whole message the whole time. It's hard work, but you have to constantly go at it. We got to bring people here. We want to spread the cost out for you, for me, for everybody out here watching, and that's how it's going to happen. You have to go after, and like I said earlier in the intro, we have to work hard and go. Everybody's after the same thing, so we got to attract those businesses here. When we get the opportunities to meet with them, we got to do everything we can to get them here and spark that growth and keep the cost down. Solid decision making. When you're looking at things, like I said here, there's tough decisions that come up, but at the end of the day, it's about what's the best thing for Armstrong County and the taxpayers, the customers that are making things happen here. So, when you look at that, it's one of those things. The cost of business goes up every year when you have a business. And the cost goes up, you're either going to cut the quality of thing or cut services or products. In this case, we don't want to do any of that. We want the best things for Armstrong County, so we have to work hard every day to attract people here and grow our county and spread the cost, and that will keep taxes in line.
All right. Jason?
Well, thank you. It's tough to follow 4 answers,
right?
But
Yeah.
you guys said everything I told you to say. Great job. You know what I mean? So I'm glad we rehearsed all that. But, there's a lot of things that we can control. And all I can say is speak of what we control as a commissioner here. And I can tell you right now, raising taxes is the last resort. of any commissioner, myself, that a good commissioner would be. And that's what I promise people. It's the last resort. So we're going to do everything we can to be fiscally responsible. I get in trouble, and maybe sometimes Commissioner Fabian has comment because we look at things a little bit longer than most people maybe are used to make sure we're making the best decision for the county and the constituents here, the taxpayers. There's a lot of times I don't even look at myself as a commissioner. I'm a taxpayer. There's been meetings, well, you can't say that as a commissioner. I was like, but I'm a taxpayer. And that's why I'm here. I really would like to change this as a dedicated taxpayer, instead of a commissioner as a stance. But there's a lot of topics you brought up here with the other counties we face. Yeah, Butler County hasn't been reassessed since 1963, 68 or something like that. Yeah, that's something that we have to battle. But how do we battle that? Getting out there in the front lines. I can tell you right now, our motto since day one we've been in there is we're not saying no to anything. We're out there beating doors. I can't tell you the times myself, Commissioner Fabian has come. I've been out there reaching out to these people, laying out the red carpet, trying to get everything. There's a lot of things right now that are on the groundbreaking stages that we cannot reveal right now, but they're exciting. And there's more to come. So in politics, it takes a long time. It's not like I'm at the farm, a board breaks, I put a new one in. We're walking again across that bridge. Right now, there's loops, there's bells, whistles, there's things we have to do. But I can tell you right now, there isn't one day that we're not out there getting these things in here because growth is it. And what you have seen right now, what you will see, is a continued effort for these things. And I come in here just like everybody else, first 4 years, saying we got to do these things, do these things. I sat down at the IDA board, who governs economic development. And I said, why don't you come and yell at me? Because those guys are out there busting their butt. They're businessmen in the county, and they're doing a great job out there getting things moving forward. And you're going to see the fruits of the efforts here coming forward here. And there's some things that I know I've got calls on. Hey, listen, we need you to push this. We need you to push this. Make sure this goes through. I said, I guarantee you, I will make sure these things go through. And you're going to see those things. And it wasn't just me. It takes two. That's the biggest thing that you have to understand in politics and county level government here with the commissioners. It takes two. And what you want to find is two that work well together. Three would be great, but it's politics, But you got to have a little bit of a your ideas, my ideas to make things go good. Because I've always been learning. Every day I get up, I learn something new. There's been times I go in there and say, no, this is the best decision. I walk out there saying, wow, that just blew my mind. So but I think what we need to do is look at what we can do. Now, the state and the federal government's nice enough to mandate certain things at the county level that we have to do. So, Anthony, you're correct. There's a certain percentage that we can control. And that's what we need to focus on, but also getting out there and continuing to do what's already being done. And I can't state that enough. It's like these things are out there, and you'll see these things. It's not like we're sitting here and then 2 years from now, what happened? They were saying these things. No, they're already in the works. So I'm excited about them, excited about keeping things going and working well here and, getting us moving forward here. But the taxes, the biggest misconception, too, is the spring one is the county one. And then the fall is the school district. The school district taxes are always the higher one, which is just the nature of the beast. But again, the county is the one that administers all these things and brings them in. So if we can work well with a lot of different entities in the county, businesses, there isn't a day that I'm not out there reaching out to a business owner saying, what can we do to help you? What are your needs? To help. Maybe we can bring out one of your vendors into the area to cut your costs down to bring them here. And we sit down with a lot of places. The Indiana one you mentioned about, we were on the list. There are certain needs and wants that they need. That just the infrastructure here in the county, the workforce and different things that we got to work on and build to make us more appealing to these things. So it's not like we're out of the loop here. It's like we're on the cutting edge. We're getting there. Rome wasn't built in a day. And we're going to be putting every effort in we can to make sure that we are number one. And whatever we got to do to be number one. There's been a phone call we made to the state and local feds saying, hey, listen, we've had some businesses come in here. What can you do to help us with this river out here? They know me by name. When I call the number about the river at the federal level, say, all right, Commissioner Renshaw, what do you have to say about the river today? Same thing I've been saying, same thing I'm going to be meeting with you about, same thing I'm going to be doing. How can you guys come in here and tell us that we don't know what the best use is of the river in our backyard when you're living in D.C.? All right. So anyway, I don't want to take all your time.
I gotta stop
here. Sorry about that.
You. I gave you the extra minute.
I'll take it off later.
Just a little bit of rebuttal time for you guys. Does anyone want to say anything else with just a minute? Respond to anything that anyone said?
Yeah, I want to mention something that Anthony mentioned about Urban Outfitters, which is a $1 million square foot building that recently built off of 422 in Indiana. Yes, we were on the short list for that. It didn't work out, but one thing, we have great working relationships with our commissioners, whether it's Westmoreland, Butler, Indiana, or Clarion, and beyond. But the next best thing is to drop that in the county right beside us, because Armstrong County residents, as they look to employ 800 people, we are going to have Armstrong residents that are going to be employed there. No different than Amazon. Yes, did we submit an application for that? Was Armstrong County going to be where that landed? No, but the next best thing is in Allegheny County because this region is going to benefit from that. And no different than the cracker plant. That's a great area, but we're going to have spin-off here over the next several years when that's up and running. So it might not land in Armstrong County, and like Commissioner Renshaw says, we're always advocating for that. But if we can drop it right next door, it still benefits Armstrong County.
Okay. Anthony or Don?
Yeah, I'll just chime in a little bit. It's very exciting to hear these things when you're talking about that, and everybody would welcome to know those kind of things. And that's what sometimes it does take time. Everything does take time, like Commissioner Renshaw says, and like, as an analogy, putting the board in the farm. And, when I make decisions at my business, it's me happening now. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people may get confused and, misconceptions about how things take time to bring a business here and meeting with them and all the regulations and zoning of an area and things of that nature. So I do see it, being out and traveling around, you know that things are on the cusp. I really do believe good things are going to happen. It's just a continued effort, working hard with, all the experience you have sitting here, and things are going to happen. I would just like to communicate more to the people and let them know, because people like to know. I know things I've done with newsletters and such, and I see, Senator Pittman puts out his newsletter. That's a great thing, because then people are excited about stuff and what you're doing, and they see their tax dollars at work.
All right.
The big thing is, there's just a pipeline. I understand that, but we got to get that pipeline primed right now. Can't wait. I know it won't happen in a day. It just doesn't happen that way. I know in the school, things that we have now are going to pay off in years, like Invention Land or Creation Nation. It just doesn't happen. But we got to be aggressive and get that, and that's what I will do if I get there.
Okay, so our second topic of the day is economic development. Kind of flows right into each other. I know you guys touched on that a little bit with the tax issue. One of the watchers on this channel actually put out a quote, said, "Property taxes are the most critical issue stopping economic development." You guys agree with that statement? And what other barriers do you see to economic development in Armstrong County? And how do you plan to overcome those barriers to expand our local economy? And this one we'll start with Anthony.
Well, first of all, nobody wants to pay more property taxes. It's one of those things, if you want to fill an auditorium, talk about raising taxes at the school. But what we need to do is, we're not going to do it by cutting. That's not going to solve the problem. We're going to have to grow our way out of this. And how we're going to have to do that is, in my plan to do this, is it has three parts. First is infrastructure, marketing, and then dealing with issues, because all of those are going to be important to growing this county. Infrastructure, right up front for economic development, we got to get the roads and bridges, both short-term and long-term, seek after every grant locally or block grant and such in the short term. In the long term, we need to work towards getting an I-80 corridor, possibly even an outer loop around Pittsburgh. That will help our economic development. We need to get broadband here. You could have people work here if they have broadband and cell access. Also, we got to work on infrastructure such as building a pipeline of workforce. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the schools such as Lenape and the different schools, we need to start preparing them for the workforce needs that are going to be coming. And then the last thing, we need to expand and improve our trails. Those are all kind of infrastructure items. Then we got to market. As we get those items online and in place, the pump primed, we need to start marketing to business and industry. We need to chase after everything. We need to use the tools available to us from CAUS and LERTAs and such. We need to also market to families and property owners. They pay a lot of taxes. If we bring them in there, and that again spreads that out to everybody. If you have good broadband, good roads, good cell service, you can have somebody who works in Pittsburgh maybe one day a week, and the rest of the time come out here who wants to have that rural or small town feeling. So we need to actually market to those type of people. That will get us growth. And the last part is we need to basically market to our tourism. There's agritourism, there's regular tourism. We need to do everything we can to get that. So all of those pieces are there. Also, the quality items, as I say, the issue part we need to work through. We got to deal with, and it exists, but the opioid crisis, we got to deal with that one way or another. We got to deal with under and unemployment. Get our folks to have hopes that they can get jobs here. Our biggest export right now, and that's hurting our growth big time, is our young people. They're moving out and moving away. We need to keep those people here. We need to get them coming back after they finish college, after they get out of the military. We need to have them come back here. All those different items will raise us by growth. We will not get there by cutting. Cutting only just cuts some kind of service. It's finite at best.
Okay, very good. Mr. Myers.
I think you'll find that we're probably all going to be in similar sync here with economic development. And my whole message throughout my campaign has been about growth, attracting people here, marketing the county, like it's never been done before. And things that Anthony said here about infrastructure, you got to have the things here as well. I mean, you market what we have, you attract someone here, but you got to be able to meet their needs in an area. If they're looking to an area, does it have the traffic coming in, the roadways, the communications, the water, the sewage? I mean, there's a lot of things that goes with that when you're talking about marketing and economic growth and attracting people here. But it's really encouraging to be here and listen to these three gentlemen talk, because it just makes me feel good about what the possibilities are for the future of Armstrong County. I mean, these are exactly what has to happen. We got to work hard on attracting people and make sure what we have is what they need versus somewhere else. We don't want them looking somewhere. We hear a company that's going to potentially come in and spend millions of dollars to set up. I mean, we want to go after them and tell them this is where you want to be. Armstrong County can't be the best kept secret. This has got to be where you want to be. We want to make that message and attract people here. And we do have things, and everything is right on the cusp. We got great places. Commissioner Fabian, you talked about the training center at North Point that's going to be happening here real soon. That's my background, career and tech education. I'd love to get involved with that, and I truly believe that's going to bring people. That's one thing that's going to bring people from all over to come here with these big companies that are in there, and they're going to be training people for infrastructure jobs like gas and electric and utilities and those types of things. And that's going to do great things for a county. You're going to see things pop up all from that. And anytime you get a business model like that, that's a school, but schools are businesses as well. You're going to have that growth. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to happen to bring economic development and see that boom and bring our numbers back up. As Anthony said, our young people are leaving. My career is about working with young people, and I want them to stay here. I want my kids here. I want to see my grandkids here and have the opportunities I had. And that's going to take a lot of hard work. And I truly believe the people at this table are going to work hard for it each and every day.
All right, great. Commissioner Renshaw, what barriers do you see for economic development? How will you overcome those in the next 4 years?
Thank you. Well, I think we probably all recognize the same barriers here, as you can see, and and a lot of these things that Anthony had mentioned is the same ones that Dawn had mentioned, the same things I'm going to say. Our infrastructure here, as the taxes are a double-edged sword. It's how you get funded, but it's also how you get your revenue, but it also keeps people out. So the infrastructure, like the I-80 corridor, we're already on that one. We already have a study that's being done to extend that up there. So these are things that we already acknowledged our first 4 years here, and we're working with the state and federal government as well. And I can't say nothing about that I can't say enough about them because they're willing to help us work on these projects. The broadband internet is an issue here in our county. Now that I've seen the governor's pushing for that too as well, but we've actually took the initiative here, and we're redoing our broadband in our county here with a company that is going to offer it to more constituents here in the county. So we're working on basically a footprint of that in the county right now. And the workforce, the training facilities that we see was coming in, there's a few other ones that we're working on here right now that we're excited that are coming in here, that it's going to be great for the county. So those are things that are coming in as well. Roads and bridges, I have to say the county took some funds that we passed out to everybody and put a multimodal grant in, which took that money and put into a pot of money that the state gives us back double, basically. Not double, it's pretty close to that. It gives us a lot more. We can do more big impact projects around the county for the townships and local areas that they need done. So these are things that we already recognize that we're already working on and getting done. So that alone will help. Is it going to be done today, tomorrow? No, but we're working towards that goal. Every day we go in there, we're seeing, we're hearing, we're reaching out. We go around and we do town hall meetings. We met with seniors. We sit down and try and hear the constituents, and anybody can come to the office and obviously call there as well. But I think the infrastructure, like you mentioned earlier, is one of our biggest things as far as technology-wise. Internet, now everything on the internet, obviously. Where do you think this is going to be broadcast?
Right.
You know what I mean? So time, you have to adapt and overcome with the changes in time. And I think right now, if we can offer these things to the new, businesses that want to come in here, even residents, and offer them what their families need and keep them here as well. And I think we're all on the same page. And like Don said, I think what you'll see here is everybody at the table is passionate and excited about this county. So whoever's sitting there after November, I think Armstrong County will be on the right page here, because what I'm seeing right now is we all have probably the same beliefs and views, and I see on a lot of things, maybe not everything, but that's what makes politics exciting.
Okay, good. Commissioner Fabian?
I think to answer your question about taxes, is to give you an analogy, 70% of your taxes go to the schools, 20% goes to the county, and then 10% to your local municipality. Taxes are a barrier. We recognize that. Something we did when we first got in office, we met with the team in economic development. We did a SWOT, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We kind of game plan about it. It's not a comprehensive plan because, believe it or not, the 2006 comprehensive plan that the county did is relevant today. So we kind of just broke it through that SWOT. We game planned for these past 3 years, and I think we've been very successful. We've got about as much growth and momentum going as we possibly can right now. And as Dawn said numerous, earlier today, and everybody's talked about it, it's a dogfight out there. We're a small market county, and I'm a baseball guy by all means. I consider us the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're next to the LA Dodgers, Boston Red Sox, and the New York Yankees. And our teams are doing a great job. Anthony mentioned one of his big things, infrastructure. We have $75 million of infrastructure that has come into this county over the last 3.5 years. We have $234 million on the long-term TIP project committed. That's something that Commissioner Renshaw, when we go to Pittsburgh and sit at SPC, that we fight for. And that goes from bridges to roadways to guide rails to fiber. And we go after every possible grant out there. So if you can, I'm just saying we've maxed the dollar amount out that we could possibly bring back to the table without holding somebody hostage. I agree. Two things that weren't talked about as far as bringing people in. C was going to bring, that's a critical infrastructure workforce academy. When it's up and running to its max, is going to bring in about 20,000 students or workers a year. We're looking at creating we have one well on its way. It's an ATV park in Brady's Bend. Between that, and we just put a committee together to look at another ATV park area. Between those things, those two places, that's another 20,000 visitors here. And we have made significant investments to the Erie to Pittsburgh Trail. We have about 5 miles left and one tunnel that's not complete. $3 million have gone into that to date. We've been humping it on infrastructure, tourism, and making sure we're bringing in as many people as we possibly can.
Okay. I got about 30 seconds left for any of you guys if you want to respond to anything.
Yeah, real quick, I want to thank Commissioner Fabian for carrying the torch because my time was up, I noticed. So a lot of things you can't say and everything there. But also one thing I advocate too at CCAP, we go out there and with our state level is a menu. Can you please give us a menu? Property tax is a great way now that we can get our income, but give us a menu of different options. You know what I mean? To get revenue in the county. So right now there's, it's just, working well with them. And I think it's something that can be down the road, but I think we have to think outside the box. And obviously you can ask any state representative. Every time I see him, I say, hey, how you doing? How's that menu? And those are things that we can look at and hopefully maybe someday, with CCAP's help, maybe other commissioners can put their heads together there and find a way to, adapt to the new era that we have here. I'm not saying that the way the system is before it was good, but I think we need to keep our motives and keep our directive here to helping constituents.
Great.
Well, one thing I'd like to say to follow up on that too, since 2016, unemployment is down. Poverty is down in Armstrong County, and also the median income is up. We are moving in the right direction here. It sounds like a lot of doom and gloom here, but no, we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. All right, Anthony and or Don?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's very encouraging to hear all the things that are happening, that they're in motion and that are going to come out and people are going to see. That everybody wants to know that, and those are the things that people like to know when they're looking at their county officials or elected officials, that they're working hard for them and good things are happening. I think with somebody new, coming in, it brings more ideas to the table. As Commissioner Fabian said, what more can we do? Not to, saying there's always more. You got to look hard and focus on those things. I think new perspectives brings new ideas. Sometimes when you do the same things over and over, you can't expect different results if you do the same thing. And I think having new people along with experienced people puts together a perfect mix to get the most out of everything that's possible out there.
And just to sort of piggyback on that, when I was in the military, they changed the commanders out every 2 years, the leadership. religiously. In fact, you would actually get dinged on your career if you stay longer than 2 years in a place. And the reason they did that was for the new ideas, for somebody to come in and basically shake it up. Maybe it's the wrong word to use, but basically say, hey, why haven't we tried this? Why haven't we tried that? You have enough of the people that are there for continuity, but you change out the leadership to get those new ideas. I'm a very out-of-the-box thinker. I will try everything. I will look at everything that's available to us. I listen. I'm leery of the first person that talks the loudest, because those are the ones you probably want to stay away from. I look also to the people in the back who are quiet and sort of observing. But we got to get lots of ideas and change out the blood, and a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. I think that's where we need to go.
All right. And I do understand that the doom and gloom, I promise that's not me, but I am just trying to take a constituent look. You guys know I'm about the most positive person that I could possibly be, and just ruthlessly that way. So I appreciate your guys' positivity about the future as well, that it's not all doom and gloom, that we are all, I think every one of us around this table is hopeful about what Armstrong County could be. A big part of that, which you guys have already touched on, so maybe we can go into it a little bit deeper, is workforce development. One of the most exciting prospects for our country and for our county has been the turn it seems that we're making at it as a nation, that's saying, hey, not everyone needs a 4-year degree. You can also go and just develop skills that you need for a particular job. With the great work Lenape Tech has done over the years, the new training facility coming into North Point, I'd love to hear some more details on that. How important is that to our future, and what do you see as our future economy in Armstrong County? What changes are going to be required in the workforce to make that economy thrive? And Don, maybe it's appropriate that this is the one you get to answer first. Because
did you write that question for me in the last 30 years of my life?
Yeah.
That is definitely my background, and I know many people in the county know that. I taught a generation here in career and tech ed. A college degree is an awesome thing. I have a college degree, but career and tech ed is where I started in my training, hands-on, going out and taking those skills and earning a good living. And right now, I'll tell you, that is just booming everywhere. That is the demand. It's been a demand for quite some time, but even more now. So, and you're talking some really, really good jobs and opportunities for young people, and as well as current workers. It's never too late to go out and retrain. I retired from one career. I'm starting another here, hopefully on November 5th, if the taxpayers will give me the opportunity to work for them. But career and tech ed is definitely, and I was asked the other day some specific examples, and I told Leader Times in that interview that they're all of them. To pick one, it's just, I've seen success stories everywhere in career and tech ed. It's about hard work. What's the difference between successful and not successful? Work hard. Get up every day with the attitude that you're going to work hard, and if you want what other people have, go do it. You can do it. I told my kids as they were growing up, I said, do what someone else is willing to do to get where you want to be. It's possible. There's great opportunities, but you got to work at it. And career and tech ed is a great start. Lenape Tech, and not just because I work there. It's kind of a biased question. That's the tech school I work there, but they're doing amazing things. They truly are. If you've never been there, you need to go and see what's happening throughout all the career and tech ed programs, from manufacturing, building construction, health occupations, computer science. They have a little bit of everything that's going on. And the thing I would like to see is sometimes students or even people, they're leaving to find those jobs, and I think some of them are here. I see that often, and I mentioned that the other day as well. People leave the county and they're going somewhere else to find a job in their skill set. You need to look around your own county, and that's tough. I know it's hard to do when you live in a certain area and travel that same route every day, and those are things I'd like to bring to the table. And when you talk about marketing, market the county and highlight our businesses, show what they have. To expand your business, to grow what we need, you need that workforce. You're talking about a workforce. Where are you going to get it? A lot of people think of the tech school, every school. These people these young people are getting ready to leave school, and they got hopes and dreams to achieve and do well, and to make those connections with business and industry. I think a lot of it is here, and more hopefully to come with the hard work of everybody sitting here, and starts with career and tech ed and all those business connections, and just promoting it and highlighting it. If I'm elected, I want to work with businesses and showcase them and help them out in that way. And that's tough when you're a business person. I've been a business person for 30 years, and you're always focused on the bottom line. It's R&I, return on investment. You're spending money. What's coming back? That's critical to business. And when somebody's reaching out to help support and promote you, I mean, that's just great things, and I think that's what we need to do more of.
Very good. Commissioner Renshaw?
There you go. Way to hit that softball out of the park there, Don.
Like I said, I think you wrote that question.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that's good. I'll see if I can, see if I can compete there a little bit here. So, but I think this is exactly right. We need some education here, some training, and everything. That's one project that can't be at liberty to speak too much about here, but I've been involved in it right now. I've been called specifically, as far as the other commissioners too, to reach out and make sure that some of these things go through and can be here in the county. And I'm proud to say that, I'm involved in something good that's going to be coming here. And I really think, and Commissioner Fabian too, like I said, it takes two. When you hear me say, hey, myself and stuff, it's three of us here that have been really working towards these goals up there. But also, too, I think what you'll see here is the training and education. What do our business people need out there? So I've been devoting a lot of my time going out and reaching out to the business people of the community here, sitting down with them. I try to reach out at least once, twice a week here to sit down with them, schedule meetings. Hey, what do your employees need? What do you need in your employees? What can we do to bring more qualified workforce to you and have it available here for you? And that's where a lot of these things that you'll see developing came from. Was the efforts that we all put in here. And it's not like it's just me. I mean, we sit down and we all have our expertise, and that's what I see a lot at this table here, and that's another topic. But bringing a diverse crowd in here for the experts in different areas makes for a well-rounded team to work towards the county's goal. But the training's the biggest thing here. Leonard P., like Don said, he can't speak. I can't speak any better about Leonard P. Even where I come from, Freeport, any of the school systems that we have right now are doing a great job with our youth, but we need to retain them and look towards our secondary, your secondary education, going to college, going to trade schools. And the trades, by far to me, are one of the things that has been the best kept secret here that we have. Like I come from a blue collar workforce here as a farmer, and I personally feel like I relate to a lot of the people out there that get up every day, put your work boots. That's my comfort zone. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I just like to reach out to them and say, what can we bring to you? And that's the type of work I like. You know what I mean? If I had to, pick your dream job, it'd be knee deep in manure. You know what I mean? So, but. Anyway, I think what you're going to see and what we are doing is pushing towards these goals. SIWA, again, that was just a conversation when we first started getting into this here, and then we were sitting at every meeting, every development that we could to put this effort into making it a reality. And I think what you're seeing here is a lot of times if the commissioner's office goes to bat and you have your state and local, it's a team effort. And I can't say enough about the state, the federal government, G.T. Thompson, and everybody that we've worked well with here and built relationships over the year. It's just a phone call away to say, hey, what do you got going on? Hey, what's going on? They come in, they meet with us, we meet with them. And these projects aren't just it's basically your grassroots, even the townships, that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, that we say, hey, what can we do for you guys? What's your issues? And then they reach out to us, we reach out to the state. Farm Bureau has a legislative luncheon where we all sit around the table, and that's just one of the greatest things in this county. You sit down once a year, and boom, and we've got a lot of projects off the table. Yeah. So it's great.
I gave these guys an extra minute, so you guys both got 3 now.
All
but
right.
Go ahead.
Thanks for giving us a minute.
Often when I see lists of the biggest employers in Armstrong County, it's often the hospital or school that or it is Walmart. But what's not on that list is organized labor. That is our biggest workforce in Armstrong County, is organized labor. And as Jason said, we have 2 new educational opportunities that we're going to see here in Armstrong County very soon. This is something we talked about several years ago. This is something we will deliver on here. But he used the word blue collars, and one day, that's kind of how these things get up started. When we looked at Clarion County, Indiana, Westmoreland, Butler, Allegheny, all have anchor universities. We're blue collar people, we're blue collar workforce around here, so why not jump into that kind of workforce? So that's how the exception, and talking to some other people that are consultants, we came up with the Critical Infrastructure Workforce Academy. So this to give you a little more information about it, that's advanced urban training, that's utility infrastructure, that's vertical integrated gas operations, that's electric and linemen, that's communication and water segments. So you're going to see a Sim City down there at North Point with education happening in the classroom. Then they're going to move out into the yard where they're going to be working with multiple public utility companies. And not only that, these students are going to have an opportunity to get educated and be connected with employers, but also the employers who need to re-up these certifications will be coming into this academy as well. And again, because of confidentiality agreements, we can't talk about another educational opportunity that is coming. And one thing else I wanted to highlight that Commissioner Renshaw and I sit on is the Tri-County Workforce Board. That is a board that's comprised of Indiana County Commissioners, Armstrong County Commissioners, and Butler County Commissioners, and we meet every other month, and we talk about workforce development issues. We game plan, and we try to create policy. We try to create programs around our needs here. Similar to economic development, we do that SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. We do that there. One thing we need to do a better job of, and I'll say that, is talking with our superintendents, not just the Armstrong School District, but all our schools in all 3 counties. We recognize that needs to be enhanced greatly.
Okay, very good. Mr. Shea.
Yeah, I'll start off. I go to work every day down in Pittsburgh. I work with a lot of millennials. And one of the big things down here, they all have these degrees of one sort or another, but there's one big problem they also have, this big college debt. It's from $50,000 to $100,000, which is keeping them from moving forward. And there's this misnomer: you have to have a bachelor's degree to get a good job. Having served on the Lenape board for the last 5 years, you learn that, you can do stuff with your hands, graduate at 18, and go right on to the workforce and make a good living. And that's something people need to know. And the gem in this county is the Lenape technical program, also the adult education program. We are turning out welders. We are turning out the construction, carpentry, tool and die, environmental resource type folks, the gas wells. Those are things that you can't outsource. You can't take those and send them over to India. I spend every day, I compete against people from all around the world. If they can build a better mousetrap than me, our jobs get eliminated. The one thing about these career tech jobs, you can't outsource them. You have to do them here. A lot of times you do them right here in the county, which is good. We need to keep those folks here after they graduate. One of the things that we're working on is the different professions within the county, finding out exactly what are the skill sets they need so we can keep those young people here. We got to stop the export of those folks. Tech ed is very important. Also at the Lenape program, we brought in BC3, which is thriving. It's thriving very well. It's busting at the seams, actually. We brought that program in, and it's done exceptionally well. We also have the adult ed programs are done exceptionally well. But all of these are important. Those are the jobs that people can keep here in Armstrong County for at least the foreseeable future. That misnomer of having a college degree, it's not necessary. You can make just as good of money with a good hands-on trade. And my goal is to keep moving that forward, working with the workforce or with the businesses to make sure we get that going to where we need to. Thanks.
I'm curious, just kind of the second part of that question. I'd like to just hear maybe 30 seconds to a minute from each of you guys. What do you believe is the future economy in our area? Are we just kind of modernizing and expanding our blue-collar workforce, or do you think that there's other opportunity? Like, I look at the tourism aspect. I think that has the potential to be a huge economic driver for our area. But I'm curious, as a commissioner, what would you be kind of focusing on?
I think we were just talking about this yesterday at the Economic Development Board meeting. 1C was up and running to capacity with some spin-offs down there, hotels, eateries. We're going to have to do one of two things. We're going to have to move some dirt, and move dirt, we're going to have to create another industrial park because we are moving. We're out of space now in all our parks. The other part of that, the low-hanging fruit, which we've been working on, is tourism, ATV, our waterways promotion. In the next 4 years, those are going to be completed. Those we're going to see more visitors here. And 2, manufacturing. We have 87 manufacturers here in Armstrong County. Some employ as low as 4 to 50 people in these manufacturers. So with the cracker plant being built to completion, there's going to be some spin-offs of that. So I think you're going to see manufacturing grow too. And then we're always out there working with the governor's action team, economic development, and then our partners at the state level, federal level. 2 people we forget to talk about that we meet often with is Senator Pat Toomey and Senator Casey, who was just in town a couple weeks ago looking at a hydro plant. So we have great relationships, the current board and current administration, with all our elected officials at the state and federal level, and always talking to them.
All right. How about Jason?
Well, I think you see it's like a combination of a lot of things. Maybe back in the day when I've been just solely manufacturing things. But I think what you look at Armstrong County, what can we bring to the table that's different than the surrounding counties? I think we're almost like kind of like a Howe-Pow. I look at it this way with our waterways, kayaking, the trails, and everything as far as that goes. And if you really always kind of say in the meetings here, we're like the heart of Western PA. Because if you look at Armstrong County on a map, kind of shaped like a heart, and we're right in the middle of Western PA. And we kind of have a little bit of everything, from the agricultural community, the manufacturing community, but the tourism. Our river is our best asset out here, and the tributaries that go into it, from Crooked Creek to Kiski down there. I mean, the businesses that have spawned off of these things and are growing right now, and the interest level and the trails is one of the things that me and Commissioner Fabian have been advocate to, as Commissioner Scummite as well. We're out there working with them and using that tourism department. That's where I sat on the board for a while. And again, after I got this job, I sat down there a little bit, but stepped down because I get fresh blood, fresh ideas in there and everything like that. And I think what we can do is advance that and promote this. As you don't have to drive 2 hours to Howe-Pow. You got a half-hour drive from Pittsburgh up here, 45 minutes at the top. So depending when you want to go, ATVs. If you see all the trailers with ATVs on, the ATV park up there is going into town. They're stopping to eat. So the eateries, the restaurants, and everything will thrive out there. I know I do my part to help them stay in business. I make sure I order 2 meals when I go out to eat. You know what I mean? So, but I think what it's going to be a combination of manufacturing and everything too as well is going to be here with the training we have. So I'm excited. Like I said, you put all these together.
Yeah.
And I think, hey, Armstrong County, there was a peak at the time, the 80s maybe. Somebody could argue this till they're blue in the face. But right now, I think what you're seeing is we're ready to thrive. We're starting to get our feet back up. I might have stumbled a little bit, but I think what you're going to find out is we're going to take our natural resources here and make them shine.
Very good. Don, how about you?
It's kind of just piggybacking off on what everybody said here. When I think of things, I just go to the builder experience in me. We're in a rebuilding kind of phase with some of the big industry that's left. Good things are happening, and promoting the little things we have. Small business is what built this country, not the big box stores and that. I mean, they've taken over a lot of areas and have drove small business out, but the small business is going to bring it back. We have, some big manufacturing, largest manufacturing in the county, Brigade, building on industry, big addition onto his place, and things like that are happening. But the future, I see it as a rebuilding process. All marketing, all the tourism things we have, the river. Well, I go to Florida often, and it's all about the water. I've said this before. When you get out of there's just businesses everywhere surrounding water. The water brings the people in. We have it flowing right down through here. And, with working with the state and federal and all the local areas to capitalize on that and market that and grow that, and it's going to bring the things here. And I think that's the future of it. I think you're going to see, some of these big things happening, like the training center, which is, I'm super excited about that. I know nothing but good's going to come from that, and you're going to have a spinoff from that. But these little places popping up, you can't look at a little business and think, what's that bringing to the table? It attracts people. When you attract people, they see what this county's about. They want to buy or build a home here. They want to start a business here. So you're going to see that growth. It's going to take time, but it's happening. Like Commissioner Fabian said, it is happening, and obviously everybody wants to see that happen fast. We want it to happen now because we don't want people leaving. And you have to have things happening as quickly as you can, and it takes time. It takes a lot of communication with people and working and moving us forward.
All right, I don't want to cut you off, but Mr. Shea, I've shorted you about 45 seconds. So you got
problem
2
there.
minutes. Tell us about your future economy in Armstrong County.
My vision, first of all, waiting for the day of Elger to come back or Allegheny Ludlam to open, those are gone. I don't believe that's going to happen ever again. But what I'd like to see is diversify business and push little businesses. And as Don was saying, that's the driver in the future. We have a lot of little niches from the electrical shop. If you look down in down in Leechburg, if you look at the tool and die, those little type of businesses hire a few people, but they hire them at pretty high wages, which is a family supporting wage that we can make that work. We get those homeowners coming back here. That is what's going to drive us forward in the future in Armstrong County. It's going to be little businesses. A lot of them aren't going to get above 100 employees, but that's fine. I'd rather have a whole bunch of little ones, a lot of diversity. Spreads out the risk a little bit more in case there's any problems in the economy, but we need to get that all over the place and catch on like wildfire. The natural resources sort of complement all of that. As Jason was saying, when you go up the ride on the trails, all of a sudden you're going to come back and eat. That's perfect. those are going to be complementary. Those are also complementary to getting the homeowners coming in here. We need new, fresh start families coming here because they want to live out in the country. They want to live in a nice little community. All those things will be like wildfire. They create a positive feedback loop, which keeps us going forward. And that's where I see us going.
All right. So our fourth topic of the day is going to be on the opioid crisis. This has been, it comes up again and again as well. It's touched probably just about every family in the county if we look at it. Whether it's a direct relative or a friend or whatever it might be. We've all heard the stories and seen the data from years past and how horrible the story was 5 years ago. It seems like the most recent data we're trending pretty positively. And so how can we build on the momentum that's already been done? And, what will you do as the next commissioner to help solve that problem? And so this one we're going to start back again with Jason.
Well, I think a lot of things that we're doing here, one of the main things is medical treatment at the jail. I know there's a lot of things that we've put in place there to help the people going in there to get treatment and everything. And we were one of the first to implement a lot of these programs and everything, helping with the sheriff, the DA's office, funding them and working towards the goals to, get things taken care of. Central booking too. I mean, not directly associated with that, but it helps, getting the information from the people that go through the jail. So I think what we need to do is focus in on our assets and what we have and put them towards the best use that we can here for the county. A lot of the things that we see here in the county is people going to jail. It's not your typical, robbing a store back in the day. These are people with, I would say, like medical conditions, I would say, dependencies on a substance that we're learning. The governor even came out to recognize the efforts from the doctors that helped at the jail. Our program was top in the state. We actually started to see a reduction. So I can't say enough about Cammie Anderson and the Clarendon, Indiana County, Armstrong Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation out there, and everything what they're doing is top notch. And we're proud to be a part of that. We work well with the other commissioners on that aspect. So their recommendations are basically being recognized as top in the state, if not the country, and for the governor to make a trip out here and to recognize that and tour. We went up there and met with him, and he was very pleased with that. So I think that just goes to show what we're putting into it here, as far as even helping fund the sheriff's department here, what they need as far as getting their needs and wants and everything. The DA, we work with Katie. Again, we meet sometimes we're a little bit hesitant to jump on things, but these are things that I think that you won't see us hesitate as much as far as, hey, these are things that address obviously the economic impact of the county. And it is a serious issue facing the country. So I think what we need to do is be all in. All on these efforts here and what we could do. And I know Commissioner Fabian here will probably have more into it. He's more the health and human services aspect of things here. So that's why I say it's a great team effort when we sit down. So we rely on each other's experts here. And there's things that I've learned, and I'm always learning as far as this goes. So there's some experts, things that I bring to the table. That's where you get a group of well-rounded people here to help with the county here. But I'm as excited just to be part of some of the breakthrough and top-notch and top recognized stats that we have here from the implementations that we have here at the jail. We just came from a prison board meeting here, and everything we've been doing is still being recognized and still being in the top of the state.
Great. Commissioner Fabian?
I want to hit real quick. Back in 2015, coming into this can be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I really liked the team that the voters elected last time. I thought it was so important. As Jason said, I kind of take on the majority of the health and human service aspect of things, and there's other things too that I take on. And Jason's kind of the agricultural guy. Commissioner Scum, I had a good background being the chief clerk for 8 years. And we kind of split those responsibilities up over the last 3 years. But I do appreciate Commissioner Scum and Commissioner Renshaw supporting some of the efforts that the Drug and Alcohol Commission are doing. Like I said earlier, I do sit on the advisory board. In 2016. And that was a huge debate question back in 15. The drug overdoses were 62. They've gone down each of the last couple years, 62, 54, 34, and 17. We've seen a 48% reduction in overdose deaths. Throughout other counties throughout there, the average is about 18%. As Jason mentioned earlier, something we did, we brought drug and alcohol service back into the county jail, which were absent since 2006. 94%, we just started doing some data tracking on this. 94% of our inmates either have a mental health issue or a substance abuse issue. So we wanted to tackle that. Also, as Jason said, just shortly after we got into office, we started and piloted Vivitrol. And we just got acquired a grant through the Drug and Alcohol Commission. We're going to be piloting Suboxone to reduce recidivism. And when the governor came out, he was really impressed with what Cammie Anderson, who we're very fortunate to have her in Armstrong, yes, Indiana, and Clarion County. She's considered one of the experts, often travels out of state because of a lot of her private programs. And I'm just happy we're in a position to support some of these efforts. But the warm line, people that don't go to the ER are quickly connected in this county with certified recovery specialists. We have a mobile outreach team. These patients that overdose and hit the ER door, 70% of those people are referred and go to treatment, and that's out of I just did some data the other day. It's out of 750 patients. Drug and Alcohol Commission put out 4,200 naloxone kits to the community. And one thing I'm in charge with, and one thing I learned early on is when I seen a lot of reinvestment dollars going to Indiana County. And it was like, ho, we need ours too. So what we're seeing now is a lot of reinvestment dollars coming back to Armstrong County, and it's been out there in public when you hear about recovery centers, detox facilities, drug and alcohol treatment. So we know there's a need there, and we're trying to attack it. And then I'll just say one other thing. There's also the law enforcement component of this and the courts component of this. So we just created through a grant the law liaison positions. This person's going to be working in the courts, the jails, at the magistrates level, kind of diverting some of these people so they're not always ending up in our judicial system. Okay. And that's really a big cost to the taxpayers.
All right, thank you. Mr. Shea?
Yes, it's funny. It was over the summer. We went on our vacation. We were out at Salt Lake City, and almost every billboard was something about the opioid crisis. Mm-hmm. And it was like, wow, it's over here too. It's across the country. And I remember way back when I was in the military, I worked as a prison guard. About 80% of our prisoners, give or take a little bit, were in there because of drugs or some crime related to drugs. So this is something that transcends time. It's something that it just isn't solved in a day. There isn't one thing. As commissioner, I look at it as a full court press of how we'll deal with this. We got to get into the schools, basically do early education. What's really eye-opening is I do a drug awareness program for the Leechburg Elks. We asked 3rd through 5th graders, raise your hands if you've seen or somebody do drugs in your family. And what's scary, absolutely scary, there's a lot of kids that raise their hands, which is really, really concerning to me. Also, at the school level, we're having to hire a social worker because we have a lot of kids, not a lot, but we have a certain amount of kids, I'm not going to say numbers exactly, who are actually who have parents that are in jail right now. And also we have a few kids, without saying numbers exactly, who've lost a parent through the opioid crisis of an overdose. So, I mean, we're totally aware of what's going on and the carnage that comes from drugs. Have personal experience. Somebody close to me was on drugs and watched them basically fall the whole way down to the bottom and then go into recovery. It isn't an easy process. And all those families that have to deal with that also, I mean, there's no support for them. Everybody throws all the support onto the person using drugs, but there's a lot of support needed for the families who take care of those folks. From an enforcement standpoint, we need to work every way we can to get those people identified. When we get them in jail, this was one of the things that was a problem when I was actually dealing with a prison guard. They essentially put them in there, they did their time and went back out with no treatment. We got to get that done while they're in there. Might as well make that time good. Otherwise, they're just going to be back again, and it's just going to be your frequent flyers. So again, it's basically a full court press from early education, the enforcement, the rehabilitation, and basically turning people around where you can. And all these little groups like what you have, if the churches and stuff, they can help out too if they're charities and such to make all that happen as well. And again, if I'm there, I'm going to do everything I can to address this issue and make it go forward.
All right. Mr. Myers.
Listening to everything that these three gentlemen said, I mean, I can't agree with more. There's many different things that you have to look at when you're talking about opioid epidemic or drugs in general. I mean, it tears families apart. It can wreck a community. It's very expensive no matter how you look at it as far as treatment or law enforcement and all those different aspects. So, I mean, it's a big challenge for any group of people to address and help moving in a positive way. I mean, you have the drug and alcohol enforcement, you have law enforcement, the court systems, and all that all play a role. And you got to take a look and see what's working and what's making a difference. Education, obviously, that's my background. Magistrate Gary DeComo spent his whole career drugs kill dreams, and I commend him for that, because it starts there. You have to make people aware and see what these bad decisions can lead to. Unfortunately, no matter how much you do, people make bad choices, and what do you do? If it's your family, it's a different ballgame. I hear people say, "Oh, ship them out of here, do this, and that." But if it touches your family, then it's real, and it definitely destroys family. I've seen it personally, and it's sad. But you want to see those people come back, and you got to do what you can to get them back in and being productive citizens. I'm a big, strong proponent of law enforcement. I believe, I support that wholeheartedly. When you see these people that come in here and target their young people or anybody as a customer to this type of stuff, I want to see those people, excuse the terminology, I want to see them hammered, bring it down. That's an expense. It's expensive to do that, and we have great people in place with the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney, Katie Charlton. Those things are happening. As Commissioner Fabian and Renshaw said, that's an expense, and you try to minimize that as well. You're prosecuting these people that are doing these things, but now you got to house them in the jail. So you got to manage all those things. But education, early intervention is the key. And to me, it's a buy-in from everybody in the community. In your area, when you see stuff like that happen, you got to get involved. And if you can help, save one person and change their course and make them choose a good decision versus a poor decision, it makes it better for everybody. So I think everything that's been said is key. In help curbing that, and just continuing on that and staying vigilant and doing everything you can in every area and seeing what is making the most impact.
Okay. I gave the commissioners a little bit extra time there, so just Anthony and Dawn, is there anything specifically that you would do differently to try to increase the success in this area?
For me personally, I am going to do everything I can. I've already started stuff, like I said, with the drug awareness program. It's not one big thing. If you think you're going to do one slam dunk and it's going to solve everything, it isn't. It's sort of like you have loud music and you sort of turn the volume down. You won't ever get to zero, but what you want to do is get that trend downwards. You got to help the families who are dealing with the people who are having drug issues as well. It's sort of, you need all the support systems. Sometimes it really just comes down to tough love, and it kind of is a bum deal, but that's sometimes the only way you actually solve the problem. And trust me, that is a hard thing to deal with, but again, big picture, I'm going to work every avenue possible. I will give every cell of my being, because this is one I personally have a lot of passion for solving.
Very good.
I just want to say two things to follow it up. I think this has been one of our greatest successes as a Board of Commissioners, is what we've done to address the drug problem and overdoses in Armstrong County, without question. And I'll put my hat on that. The other thing that candidate Shea should be aware of, and probably knows too, is we put mental health therapists. He used the word carnage earlier today. Every public school, elementary school, high school, has mental health therapists in there to deal with these issues, whether it's a mental health issue, grief issue, and that's something that's been implemented over the last 2 years. So, and I know Leechburg actually uses it probably to the fullest extent right now. We're thinking about hiring another therapist in the school. So I wanted to mention that too.
And just to piggyback on that, because we have such problems with that, that's why we need more than what we have right now. And again, we are looking at hiring another person because we just aren't getting there from here, and we need to solve those problems. When those kids have issues, it's disruptive to everything else.
Very good.
You got to give me that minute.
Go ahead, sir.
You can have my minute. Take mine too.
Like I said, there's a lot of things that have to be done, and you got to focus on that. As Commissioner Fabian had the numbers there, and it's coming down, and that's great, and that's what you want to see for working towards and helping curb this epidemic. It's like it affects families with the schools. You mentioned in the schools of how you have people in there. I spent over 27 years of my life in school. In this, public education, and you see that's where a lot of these things happen. There's not enough personnel to address the issues of 500 kids or 1,000 kids in a building, and sometimes the money's not there to support that, and that's where I go back and say that it's a buy-in from everybody. School's not the perfect solution to everything. It's a great source to educate people, but you and your community's got to get out there and help educate people if you can, and you have experiences and you've dealt with these issues, and help keep people on the right track and moving forward. It's all about everybody buying in. That's been part of my message as well, to move this county forward.
Very good.
And too, that's part of, I think, as incumbents and sitting in these chairs for the last 3 years, hey, it'd be nice, as Don said, to put in, and I'm glad to hear you understand that. Like, yeah, we'd like to put more and more therapists. Where are you getting the dollars from?
Right.
And oh, yeah, you want to do economic development. We want to add staff over there. So these are the kind of decisions that we see on a day-to-day basis. I'm glad you recognize that.
Anything you want to add, Jason?
Nothing I haven't said for these guys to say already.
Very good.
But no, I think we need to dedicate every effort we have here, and our efforts right now over the past 4 years we've been in there have shown. And again, one thing I've noticed just briefly is that the dedication, the expert, and the desire to help these people is tremendous from the groups from the hospital, that location, from our committees and drug awareness committees and everything at every level. It's not, these people are passionate about this, and they're putting every effort they have, and it's been recognized. And I can't say enough about them. And they are willing to help these people, and a lot of these people, they don't even know. And that is tremendous right there. And you can't, and that alone just gives you a good feeling. And that's what it takes, is for everybody there to keep this goal going. And I sat in a meeting up there, and the governor's there, and I said, hey, listen, I just want to let you know the same thing I just said here. These people are amazing. And
Yeah.
they need to know that. So
Very
that's
good.
all.
Well, we'll move on to the next topic. We have two left, and then our closing arguments for the day. But topic number 5 is on blight. Major problem in many of the towns in Armstrong County. I've done, you guys know this is probably one of my hot button issues. We did a survey at the beginning of the year in Kittanning, just a personal survey, looked at every house in the borough. We came up with 246 houses in Kittanning Borough alone that needed some kind of work. And so I know there's been some work already done at the county level, but what would you do as next 4 years in your county commissioner term to help solve that problem? You're up.
All right. I never claimed to have all the ideas when I ran in 15, and the idea of addressing blight, not that it was it wasn't one of the big questions back in 15, but 2 years into our first term, we had a town hall meeting in Leechburg, and they were talking about expanding. There was no room to grow, and talking with some of their mayors, coming back, talking to planning committee, and talking to some of our local state officials, Senator White at the time, we came up and developed the Blight Task Force. And to date, we've secured over $200,000. That's not general fund dollars. We've taken down 5 properties. We've surveyed the entire county. And we're going to proceed. We have 5 more properties throughout the county to take down. But it costs on average about between $10,000 and $20,000 to take down each of these houses. So when you hear the $200,000, well, you're not going to do a lot with that. But you try to be selective on the properties that you want to take down, so they go back on the tax rolls.
Yeah.
Also, I'll commend you. I know your church does some amazing things here in the community of Kittanning. 2 weeks ago, I was up at Rock of the Block with all the volunteers. They're doing some great things in the neighborhood. We've gone after facades grant through planning and development to improve Market Street and beyond. It's just something, it's an initiative that was started, and we've kind of picked up the ball and ran with it.
Very good. Mr. Shea.
Okay, first of all, Blight is basically a state governing type of program, but it's a local concern, so there's a little bit of a disconnect, so you got to work through those issues. Commendable on the $200K you got for Blight, but bottom line is there's still a lot of blighted properties, and the process is going slow. And there might be other innovative ways to return those properties a little bit quicker through some type of tax incentive where somebody invests into the property if they have the taxes forgiven if they invest money to return those. So doing land banks is one thing. Also look at all the other innovative ideas that we can get those properties turned around as quick as possible. Basically, blighted properties are essentially, they cause a negative feedback loop. Basically, they're crime issues. They drag down the other properties. They're a safety issue for kids and stuff. When we return those back, all of a sudden the property values go up. Basically, the tax rolls are refilled. So it is important to turn those around. And as commissioner, and I won't lie, I don't know everything about this area aspect of county being a county commissioner, but I know one thing: if it's me there, I'm going to do everything I can to move it forward. It will not be in my court; it will be in somebody else's court to move as much forward. I will get ideas from anybody who has a good idea, just to get this going. Again, blight is a big issue. It sort of hurts everything, and it just keeps causing a big negative feedback loop for the towns.
Very good, Mr. Myers.
You know, we talked about this back on our first interview when you were interviewing all the candidates, and I used the analogy of blight in your garden.
Yeah.
You have a tomato plant that has blight, because not everybody, I truly see that not everybody understands what that means and what it all entails. But Commissioner Renshaw, you know, what do you do with that?
You spray it.
You treat
You talking about
it.
the
You
tomato, or are you
remove
talking
it.
about the right here?
Whatever.
Sorry,
You
there. I
treat
didn't
it,
wear
or
it.
you remove it. And that's relatively easy, maybe with one little plant. But when you're talking buildings, it's a whole nother level of expense and communications and strategic planning on a lot of different people. Commissioner Renshaw and Anthony had basically said the things that you have to consider and what it does to an area. If I'm bringing in $100 million to set up a company, I don't want to be next to something that is an eyesore that's falling down. No, but I mean, it's just common sense. People know that. And you have to go it every way you can to address it, but it is very expensive. The builder and me, I've built buildings from the ground up, and it's a process and it's expense as it is to take one down and get that area looking good and back on the tax base and producing money. Volunteerism, I mean, what you do, Andrew, and people like yourself is just amazing. I can't speak highly enough of volunteers in any aspect throughout our county, whether it's the fire department or someone just stepping up and helping mowing somebody's lawn to improve the county. Some of the best experiences of my life has been volunteering with the Cub Scouts and being assistant coaching and things of that nature. So I think there's the issues of the county government working towards that, but also everybody, like I said on the previous question, the buy-in, getting people to help improve your area. If you want to see things grow, it's more than one person or two or three people can do. It's a whole community working together. So I truly commend you in your efforts to do the things you do. I watch your channel and I see things happen, and be proud of it, and more people could follow that example, and some of the things will happen like that that don't cost us money. Right. The things that do cost money, that's the job of your elected officials. We're going to work hard for it and go at it and do what we can on that end.
Very good. Commissioner Renshaw.
Thank you. About the blight issue, obviously, it's probably like something that's not appeasing to the eyes. You know what I mean? So, in an agricultural terms, a little bit different there. So, but what we came into office 2016, and this is a topic back then. And guess what? May of 2017, the blight task force was administered. Now, you can't just jump into these things. You have to have meetings and committees get started and everything like that. January. Of that next year, we were awarded $100K in grants. We applied for grants. I don't think there's a grant out there we haven't applied for. Okay, and guess what happened in June? We got another $100K grant. So that money is used to help remove the blight, and we started these projects already. So that's one tool. There's many cogs in this wheel of solving this issue here. I'm proud to say that I've seen one personally myself before I even got here flag. Freeport Leechburg Apollo Group. Everybody probably familiar with that. Great organization. Freeport being my hometown. We can administer grants for them to help fix up facades in the areas around the communities and stuff like that. So there's one aspect too, not specifically the blight aspect, but it helps basically rejuvenate the downtown. We have the downtown revitalization project here. Senator White, can't speak enough about him, his efforts. Senator Pittman now continuing carry that torch, has been an advocate for that. So, one can argue these things back and forth, but what it is everybody wants to have a positive impact in your community when you come and visit it here. And what you're seeing is those positive things being actually done. Again, groups like yourself, again, I think everybody's thanked you. I want to thank you personally again here. Maybe when we're done with our interview, I can interview you about some of your things that you can do to help out here. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to take your show. Don't worry about that. Trust me. I see myself on the internet. You know what I mean? We can scale it down. But I think we see these things here, and I don't think at one point we're ever not putting full-scale efforts into getting these things done. And that's, again, where it takes a team effort, too, from the state, the federal, whatever resources we have. We meet with them regularly. We're on a first-name basis, make a phone call. Hey, just came out of a meeting here. Just want to give you a heads up. Their offices are always willing. And I couldn't say enough that they are just, hey, listen, we want to help you guys thrive, because it's their community, too.
Yeah.
And we're all in this together. Again, you start down to look at here. It's the townships that we live in. It goes to the counties that we live in, to the state that we live in, to the country that we live in. So we're all citizens here of America. So we're going to make it a better place to live.
Amen. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're all very supportive of Summer Serve. So how much money are you willing to commit to our church for next year? I just wanted to...
Who are you voting for?
Go first. You guys all go first there. All right.
Well, one thing that wasn't
I'm not
mentioned.
sure.
One thing that wasn't mentioned. We've
He
already.
wants a number, Pat, not a story.
Well, you'll- Hey,
Sorry, I got us off track.
All
now.
right.
All right.
You'll like this part, but we've already began conversations with Western Pennsylvania Conservatory about looking at our gateway communities and
Yes.
brighten those up. So I would fully expect to see sometime next spring, next summer, to see new signage and flowers and some irrigation systems.
And that was one of the things that came from our visits to the constituents and business
Andy
people of the
Bradigan.
community here. Andy Bradigan, great business owner down here, him and his family, Paul, his dad, everybody. You're doing business with them, you go down there, you talk, hey, what can we, I see you're doing some great things here. We met with them a couple of projects. Hey, can we take this to the next level and work with you guys? Because the courthouse, we need some work done. The cupola was a conversation. Hey, that was great. You guys got a grant for that. I said, hey, how many more you got? I was like, I don't know. We apply for every grant.
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes I think we apply for grants that aren't there yet. And they say, we don't have a grant for that. It's like, we need to break one. We'll help you out there. We need a grant for that. But that will help. And basically become this is obviously the capital of Armstrong County here, so
Yep.
we're going to make it shine here, and that's what you'll find out here, that you're going to have every effort that we've had before, and we're going to take it to the next level here, I think, as we keep going here, hopefully next 4 years.
Very good. Anthony, anything you want to add?
No, I've been around to the municipal meetings, and one of the things I heard people just complaining about this house being broken down, and you find out it's an old couple, or there's just something where they just don't have the ability to help. And in the county or the municipality just seems like they're if it's out in some township and the grass is growing, what can you say? It's not the same as in the city or anything. So they were having trouble dealing with the zoning issues with that. How do you mandate that grass is cut in a township?
Well, the next time you go out, you can tell them, and they all have it by now. We did a municipality ordinance handbook. It gives them the tools, and they can restructure, organize it to help with Blight. That was part of when we hired our consultant to look over the Blight program. That was something that was developed and passed out to these municipalities. So they have the tools, they have the template.
Let's let Anthony. Let's let Anthony
Well, here's the
answer the
thing,
rest of
Pat.
it.
If they did, they obviously didn't read it or look at it. Must be in
Exactly.
a stack. Because essentially they were saying they weren't getting any help from the county, right, wrong, or indifferent. But that being said, those kind of issues need to be dealt with. And maybe that's the case. Those were sent out, but we need to actually get out and tell people and help them get there.
Okay.
It's not an easy thing to solve. You have, the old lady, whose husband passed away and moved into a nursing home, and that property's sitting there. We got to find a way to help people get through those kind of issues.
Very
Thanks.
Listening to everything, there's definitely many things that you look at to solving any major issue that affects an area community, and a lot of good things are happening. There's things that it takes, a higher authority and people that are governing an area to step in and do things. But at the same time, just to go back, what Commissioner Renshaw says here, a team working together. A lot of times, little things lead to big things. You said about spreading fire. You get one area improving, and it can be just from little things, from things that you're doing, Andrew, with your group, and then in a local township. And I just can't. I hate to keep going back, but I just can't stress it enough. You have to get buy-in from every little community if you want our county to thrive. When you go to other areas, I see. And I'm no flower guy by any means, but I tell you what, when you see like nice flowers outside, it's appealing to the eye. It looks good, and those are the things I notice when I travel around to different areas, and I see that I don't necessarily see here all the time. And those are things that are not expensive that people can do. Naturally the big expense things, I understand that, and that's a team working together. It's not one person, but we can do better. We can do better on a lot of things, but, I'll be happy to lead the charge for you as your commissioner, but we need the troops behind us to move some of these forward, and things like that is a perfect example how everybody could get involved and improve their community.
Very good. So the last one here, topic number 6, we have marketing. Despite all the problems that we've talked about, like I said, I'm very positive about the future. I have a lot of hope for the future of Armstrong County. And when I look across the county, I just see a lot of assets there. What do you guys think are the best assets that we have in the county, and how will you promote those assets to help bring in new visitors, new residents, and new businesses? This one, let's see, we have Mr. Shea. you're starting on that one.
Okay. Best assets. First of all, we have a lot of natural resources within Armstrong County, from the rivers, the trails, just the wide open acreage. And essentially, what we need to do, as I mentioned earlier, is get the infrastructure so those assets can be fully capitalized on. Right now, some of those pieces aren't all there. But if we can get that, basically, it's business 101. People buy something because they want something that you have. And if you don't have what that is that they want, they aren't coming to you. And we got to figure out exactly what that is. And when you market that, I don't know the answer to that, honestly. It could be through social media, through hiring a consultant. There's many different ways. But there are places that are areas of success. You go down to South Point, where I worked at before. That place is thriving. There isn't a business in there that isn't filled up. What are they doing that's right that we aren't doing right? When you go to Cranberry, you look at that area, it's going gangbusters. When you go north on 28, you see pad-ready sites with nothing on them. I know there's the Critical Infrastructure Workforce Academy coming, and that's great. But when I worked at North Point for all the years, the worst part was you couldn't even go eat. There wasn't any place to eat unless you went the whole way down to Freeport Foods or something. There just wasn't anything there. You had to drive a long ways. Again, you got to have what people want or they're not coming. It's that simple. And we got to find out what it is that people want. We got to prime the pump. It's not going to happen one day. It's going to take a while. We're going to have to build all those pieces to the puzzle. And but you have to start it now. You got to get that pipeline in place. You got to market it. Again, there's a lot of different tools in the toolbox to do that. I'm not against hiring the person who gets a finder's fee to bring business in. Whatever will work, we'll do it to make it happen. We got to do it. We have just too much land sitting here otherwise.
Great. Mr. Myers, I know this has been you've mentioned a couple times today about marketing the county. So what's your plan to market Armstrong County?
I mean, that's been a big part of my campaign. It's a part of my daily life. I own a business, and marketing in general, when you think about it, compared to something 20, 30 years ago, it's a whole different process and approach, and it's a never-ending approach. It's an expensive approach at times, but what we have to do is we got to utilize everything that's out there. And you talk about social media, what we're doing right here. I mean, this is your marketing. You're marketing potential candidates that are going to lead this county. I mean, we want to highlight our businesses and showcase all the great things we have. You know, when you look at some of these other areas like cities and that, I mean, their marketing, it's a city. People know about it. It's a common thing. You're trying to shape a perception of people and what they think of Armstrong County, not that they're just a bunch of whatever. You hear different things. We've all heard them. And, you know, so you got to change that perception to attract people here, and you got to use every resource possible. It's a very time-consuming thing, but in a day where everybody's competing, you got shrinking populations, you got people leaving, business leaving, and somebody else is taking them. They're going somewhere else. I'm going to take them from them. You know, I'm worried about Armstrong County. I'm not worried about the ones surrounding. I know it all kind of hinges together, but at the same time, you know, we got to attract those people here, social media, anything, and whatever changes. As that changes, you got to change with it. You can't stay with the, you know, when you think of a grocery store, they send out a flyer. You know, we know a local grocery that's changed that up, and they see a direct impact in business from that. I mean, just different incentives to get people to tune in. And I said the other day, right here, you know, we're all, how we got here? We got 4 sitting here, and everybody's tuned into this. I mean, and that's what you got to be tuned into. And it takes an effort and strategies and looking what works and what don't work. And you know, it's a constant effort. And I want to do that. I want to showcase what we have. We got a beautiful river. We have the agriculture. You know, we got great businesses, as I said earlier. Sometimes I think people just don't know. It's that communication. You got to communicate what you have to the masses to get them to come here, and it's a nonstop thing.
Very good. Yes, sir.
My turn.
Yeah.
All right.
You were ready. You were ready.
I'm ready here. I think we all kind of hit the nail on the head on everything here. Getting the name out there, letting know the people and everybody that we're open for business, you know, and let them know what Armstrong County has to offer here. So the marketing strategy, everything's on your phone right now. So that's one aspect here. I mean, we got the billboards that you can put on different locations to reach out there. There's the print publication. Some may argue that's starting to fade to back, but I know there's a lot of community people in this community that still read those things and get out there, and I think they look for these things. You know, we need to let people know what we have here, and I think being on the Tourist Bureau board, it's gone through some board changes right now, so I think we have a great group right now, and getting these things out and ideas, and then we have and they're kind of like I guess the brain power behind a lot of things, but we contribute some ideas too as well. But getting them out, and they're doing a good job here now. Is there always room for improvement? Yes, you can, but everything costs money, so you got to make sure you have the best bang for your buck. You know, if you ask me, our festivals that we have in this area, from the downtown Kittanning here. Obviously, everything they put on, and all as far as the Folk Festival to Ford City, Summerfest. I mean, I can go around to Dayton Fair. Dayton Fair is the best kept secret. It's not a secret. Everybody knows about it here, but we need to get the whole Western PA to know about what a great asset we have here, and showing off our agriculture community and everybody in here. There's not just the ag there. We have a lot of other things. It's a great time. So I think what we need to do is sit down, and that's where we meet with these people. We've done things. We've actually, as far as commissioners, the stage up there needed some help, so we do what we can at a county level to help keep these things being the top-notch facilities they have. So, and I think what you'll see here is the next few years is times are changing. We got to adapt and overcome. We don't be sitting back here and waiting for things to come to us. We need to be out, reaching out to people and letting them know that, hey, Armstrong County, it's the heart, like I said before, it's the heart in Western PA. We have everything here that people want, from the workforce, the great river out here that we can, obviously, people enjoy in the summertime. Hey, don't forget about Crooked Creek up there. There's a lot of things here. What I mean? You can go around this county and look at every area, every township, municipality brings something to the table that we need to make shine and let people know that, hey, it's here.
Very good. All right, Commissioner Fabian.
I'd agree with the consensus. We could always do a better job here. That was a big part of our conversation in economic development yesterday. How can we better market our real estate, our vacant properties, our inventory, and there was some great discussion around that. No different than Candidate Shea had mentioned our natural resources. Something we did a couple years ago was created a water trail map to let people know, or our visitors know, where all our waterways and how to kayak and do recreation boating, hiking. Keep promoting these ATV parks once they're developed. I agree. This has to be a destination point, so we need to create opportunities and market those opportunities as well. And then too, if we have tax incentive programs, which we do, we just need to let people know that. No different than Anthony had mentioned a finder's fee. We have that for realtors, but all the realtors know that. That was a big conversation yesterday. So I think a lot of these things, and I know a lot of these things are in place, but again, it's that communication aspect. How do we get that out there? And as Jason said, there's an expense to doing that. So how do you get the best bang for your buck? What's our wisest move? So.
Okay. All right. Just as a follow-up to that, I mean, I know you guys have certainly probably found over the last 4 years this is definitely a full-time job. Are you all committed? I mean, do you guys think that this could possibly be done part-time, or is this, Commissioner, are you all committed to doing this full-time? I know, Dawn, you have a business. Anthony, you have a job as well. I mean, what's your guys' plan if you do get elected?
Who's up?
We just go one at a time.
No different than the last 3.5 years. I said it in 15, and I'll say here in the fall of 19, approaching the November 5th election. I'm a dedicated full-time commissioner. Went through my calendar the other day, 3,200 meetings by the end of this year. I will have participated in about 800 a year. I put 15,000 miles on my truck, which is about $7,000 in reimbursement. I don't ask the county. I know Commissioner Renshaw does. One thing we did when we got into office is we gave up the county vehicle that was designated to the commissioner's office. We gave that to the assessment office. So when we're going through Armstrong County, that's $7,000 that I personally eat over the last 3.5 years and 15,000 miles. The only time I personally charge the county is if I'm going to Harrisburg, which is probably once a month, once every other month. So, and if I do charge something, which somebody did a right to know request recently, I put an app on my phone. It's called X Hunt. I don't know if the gentlemen around the table have used it. Use it personally for hunting, but I also use it for property assessments when people call. It's basically your plat book on an online version, and I reimburse the county that with a personal check from myself, Pat Fabian. So yes, I'm the dedicated full-time commissioner.
Okay. Candidate Shea?
Yes. For this one here, I've been in the military for a long time in my life. I was always known as the first one in, the last one out. If I get in as commissioner, I will be your full-time commissioner. I will lead totally by example. I will every day. I will come in. They'll have to kick me out at the end of the day. I'm that dedicated to doing this job. If for some reason it looks like it isn't a full-time job, if it isn't 40 hours a week or approximately, I will go back to the salary board and say, hey, listen, we can get by here with 20 hours. Let's just cut the pay and benefits accordingly if you can't do it for all 40 hours of the time that you're there. I mean, honestly, taxpayers are looking for us. There's a thing I remember when I was a kid. I was really bad at football, but every once in a while I'd watch these pickup games. And you'd sit there and you hope they'd pick you to play, and they usually didn't because I sucked at it. But anyhow, what would happen is if you waited there long enough, they say, hey, Shay, you want to come play? And the thing is, if you're here all the time, available, accessible to the public, you're going to get opportunities that you will not get if you're not here. So, like I said, I am totally dedicated. You will get a commissioner. It's the first one in, last one to leave. That's been my persona the whole time. If I win this, I will be leaving the current job I have at UPMC.
Very good.
Thank you.
Candidate Myers?
When you say full-time or part-time, however you refer to it, and you hear that throughout the campaign, and most definitely, I think as your commissioner, I mean, you're accessible 24/7. If you're out with your family and a taxpayer has a question, you're not going to not answer them or talk to them, or something arises that you could use to work for the county. So, as far as full-time, most definitely full-time, as I do everything. In my business, it never stops. It's from morning till night till it just goes through the time. And as far as you mentioned about our business or what we have going on, I've managed my time. My average work week has probably been 65 hours for the last 30 years of my life. So, I mean, this is nothing new. I've been kind of on call it a hiatus with my store. I work just a shade under 40 hours. So, if elected, that's going to produce an instant job for somebody, because this is going to be my number one priority. Going to be available for people and listening and working hard. That may not necessarily be sitting behind a desk. I think we have some huge challenges and big task ahead of us to market this county and grow this county. I don't see that as being in one place at one specific time, but availability, without any doubt. I mean, people connected to me, and I talked about using our phones. Everybody here is using them. I get messages all day long from different places, and I would expect and encourage that not to change as your commissioner. I mean, you got questions, that's what we're there for. You've elected these people, you're paying them with your tax dollars, you want to know what's going on, you want to be able to reach them out. And full-time, without a doubt, it's 24/7 in my mind.
Very good. And Commissioner Renshaw?
Yeah, I can't agree with more than Dawn has said right here. It's a 24/7 job. There hasn't been a time in my day at night when there hasn't been a call, an email going on. There's meetings. I didn't really count the meetings here, but I'm sure I'm competing right next door to you. Might have missed maybe 2 public meetings because I'm under the weather there, So, but
you're in the ballpark.
Yeah, we're in the ballpark here. So apparently I'll do my stats here a little bit. But, what I feel is going out and meeting constituents, and this is what I thrived on, and what I actually would campaign on the first time around, is going out and meeting those people at their businesses and stuff like that. So, I'm with Dawn here. We go in the office there, we take care of our business. But, if I'm not going out and meeting with them people and being with them on their turf, and there's a difference between when people come in to meet in your home field or in their home field. And when you reach out to them, take time out of your day to reach out and go visit them, that puts some meaning to them, saying, hey, he took out time out of his day and he came to meet me. So one part of the job is being in the office there, and we're always available 24/7, anytime. There's meetings in the evenings. We have meetings scheduled all the time, and there hasn't been one time. I personally, say, hey, listen, your car's not there. Well, that's because I drive my own car to every meeting. I'm not one to take the county vehicle. I will not. I don't drive that thing. I don't believe personally, because you know what? I can drive my own car, and I'd rather drive my own car. You know what I mean? I like my car. Yeah. That's why I bought my car. All right. So, take it for what you want there. But, I'm not doing anything different that I can't paint on being out there. And that's where some of these items and topics have come from being out in grassroots, boots on the ground. Your boots can't be on the ground if you're in the office all the time. That's great.
Yeah.
But what work needs to be done is out there with the constituents. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I punch in over there well before a lot of people get in. I've already punched in earlier. I punch out pretty much whenever I'm not elected again. So when you sign up for this, the job starts whenever you're sworn in, and the job ends when you're unsworn.
All right.
If there is such a word.
Very good.
All right. So, I've been hearing a lot of these things myself here, but all I can say is the job is getting done, and we've actually made more ground and done more, I believe, in the past 4 years. And hindsight is 20/20. Things have been done, tough decisions and everything I say. But to judge it on a time frame of when you're there, I think that's false. I don't think you can judge somebody. It's on, what we're getting done, accomplishments, things that we're doing. I think that's the main thing. You know what I mean? So as far as, coming in and sitting down, we get it done. We have our meetings. We schedule these things here. We have a busy schedule. I think all of us have our own lives after this too. And there's meetings. You have to just time management. You know what I mean? I know CEOs and executives of businesses that are traveling around the country. All right, they're working off their phones, their laptops, they're communicating with their staff, and they're keeping this whole thing running. And that's what you see here. There isn't a time he's on the road, I'm on the road, we're talking, we're going to meetings. Hey, can you cover this one? This one's going late. We have a meeting right now at noon, which they're calling us right now, wondering where we're at.
Yeah.
So right now, our staff is wondering what's going on. So we're taking care of business right here. So now we're going to get a tardy. All right, but what we're doing is important here.
All right.
And I think the misconception out there is the fact that this is not a job where you come in and you stay in one spot. If you stay in one spot and that's your philosophy, you're missing it. You're missing it. I'm telling you, you got to be out there and meet with these people and talk to them and be a part of them and be a part of their environment and see their environment to get a feel for that. And I think that's the biggest thing that has changed a lot from our group, is being that type of commissioning group.
Well,
and going through there.
You're like wrapping up your closing remarks and everything. You're just
trying to make
rolling
Armstrong County great again here. You know what I mean? Because we need to
Rolling.
get to our meeting.
Well, that'll be the last thing. I just want to give you all a couple minutes just to give your vision for the next 4 years in Armstrong County. Tell us why people should vote for you versus someone else at the table. How are you going to differentiate yourself? Why should people vote for you instead of somebody else on November 5th? And this one, we are starting with Don Myers.
Here we go. This one's for all the marbles.
Yes, sir.
Well, I like to say to people, as I've traveled around and talked to many people and visited many townships and all the different community events, I'm willing to put in the time and work hard to make Armstrong County better. As I said, I want to see opportunities for my family, yours, my grandkids. I want them to stay here. I believe I have the experience through my career and various things throughout, being a builder, being an educator and a business person. I think that brings a great mix to the table, and it's what we need to move this county forward. I would love the opportunity to serve the people and get out there and highlight our county and let people know what we have, encourage people to come here. A lot of good things happening, and I think for the future, it's bright. I think things are going to happen. It takes time to rebuild. The rebuilding process is rolling and it's starting. We got to foster those things, build upon them, and keep moving forward. It's a big challenge. It's a great opportunity. I would love the opportunity to serve the people of Armstrong County and be their leader out there leading the charge and moving us forward. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Renshaw.
I'll just reiterate what I just said earlier.
I know.
Anyway, I think what we have here is we've had 4 years, and obviously you could argue those things here, but I feel personally that we've done the best that we can do for Armstrong County and putting it forwards. Just working for the taxpayer out there, holding the line on taxes and being, obviously, there's times where you have to spend, but we sit there and analyze everything that we do, probably sometimes more than others. As myself, as a farmer, a businessman, an entrepreneur, I like to bring these things as a commissioner now for past 4 years now, going on my 4th year, back to the county and continue where we're going, making those tough decisions that are for the best interest of the county and just keeping us going in the right direction. And I think what you'll see here is a dedication that we've already had. Where we were at 4 years ago and where we're at now, I think our county's in a better position. And again, we need to put people in there that have the best interests and the best desires to move this county forward where we're going. And I think I'm excited. I'm happy to be a part of the group that will be, again, going into there and working towards a better Armstrong County.
All right, wonderful. Commissioner Fabian.
As I stated earlier in my opening statements, I do believe that there's something to be said for being proven, being a leader, and experience. I've done that as a Manor Township supervisor. I believe I've done that as the chairman of the Armstrong County Board of Commissioners. I've been dedicated. I've given Armstrong County everything I have over the last 3 years. As Commissioner Renshaw would say, I do think good things are happening, and I want to be part of them continuing. One thing I may disagree with something I heard here earlier today is Anthony referenced the military. Sometimes change is good. And I know through our experience with working with the Corps and on our river issues, every time that changes every 6 months to the year, That's not healthy when we want to get to an end goal of opening up our recreational traffic and commercial traffic on our waterways. So I don't always think that's a good thing. I can tell you right now, Commissioner Renshaw and myself are placed in a position to be in leadership positions through the County Commissioners Association and regionally. And you have to put your time in. You have to have a seat at the table, and we're moving up through those ranks, and that's only going to benefit Armstrong County over the next 4 years. So, but at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, I'm pretty impressed by this group here. I wish them well, and we'll be seeing a lot of each other over the next 4 weeks. And consider me November 5th.
Very good. And we'll finish it out with candidate Anthony Shea.
Okay, I come into this, as everybody knows, not having any experience at the county level. I'll be honest, I have zero. However, what makes me uniquely qualified to be a candidate for Armstrong County is the fact that I've traveled around the world. The 20 years of my life was not in this county, but traveling all over the country and all over the world. In the military, I've always been a leader. Day one, from an E1, I worked my way up through the ranks to staff sergeant, working a full-time job, working part-time. I got my degree in computer science while I was a cop, which is very difficult to do. Got commissioned as an officer, which is very, very difficult to do, and became a leader in the Air Force. And in that role, I worked my way up the whole way to Air Force Major, which is about the top 10% of the Air Force ranks there. After 20 years of service, some of that in combat, definitely proven over and over again for leadership. And I disagree with Pat. Sometimes change is good. With military leadership, you want to keep having new ideas come in. You get stagnant if you're there too long. So I would like to see more change, and not like with the military leadership. That's always been a successful model. I trust that they have a good thing going there. I've been a leader since I've retired. In the political world, working on a school board, it's tough making decisions out there. And I commend the commissioners. There's a day, every day you're going through all the different analytics and saying, oh, wow, this is a tough decision. And at the end of the day, somebody's not always going to be happy when you make that decision. But I've done that well. Basically, we've managed to bring the school really far along. We've been able at Lenape area, bring the BC3 into Manor Township. We brought the GI Bill into the adult education programs. So those are all a lot of accomplishments. Again, I have zero at the county, but every job I've had in the Air Force, every job I've had since then has been at zero, but I usually come out knocking it out of the park. When I was in the Air Force, right after I became a second lieutenant, I was working on old 386, 486 computers. Everybody knows those are pretty antiquated. And then, my goodness, here we are today. I make my living out of this. Every day I design applications that do cancer research on a cell phone. You have to learn how to adapt through the times. And I've learned that being able to be adaptable as I move forward. I will take that same adaptability to the county. I will be your full-time commissioner. And yes, I'll be in the office accessible, and I'll be out talking to the folks. I've talked to the folks since I've been on the campaign trail. When I'm in the school, there's not a school activity I don't go to, even when my kids aren't in it. I go to the activities as well, because that's part of me. It's invested into that school. I'll have that same investment into this county and try to move it forward. My vision is 4 years from now, we have this plan that we are better off than we are today. We get more jobs. We get good jobs. We get the enthusiasm, everybody here, to move everything forward. On November 5th, I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Very good. It's been an incredible honor to have you guys here. To think that a couple years ago that I would be sitting here with the three of our next county commissioners is just incredibly humbling to me. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time. For those of you watching this, if there was ever a video to share with someone that you know, if you know anyone in Armstrong County, or if you live in Armstrong County, please share this. We need as many people to be informed voters as possible. And if you want to connect with these candidates, there's be a couple other live debates coming up soon. October 22nd at Lenape Tech. They'll be there. And October 31st, I believe, you guys will be at West Shamokin as well. So you guys can connect with those debates and go and see them live. And
we'll be dressed up for that, too. It's Halloween.
Oh, great. Okay, good. It's a costume contest as well.
Vikings.
Fantastic. So I'll put the contact information for each candidate as well, so if you want to connect with their campaign, or you want to find out something else more detail than we went into today. And please do not forget, mark your calendars, do whatever you have to do, get out and vote on November 5th.